You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Get on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Let it breathe for a hot second while it's going well. Duana works everything behind the scenes, waiting for him to give the thumbs up. There it is. All right, Carl, take it away.
All right, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Building the Broncos. It's another Tuesday, and very excited to get to talk some Bronco football with Mr. Nick Kendell. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, happy Groundhog Day, I think.
Yeah.
Is it Groundhog Day? I don't know. It's coming up, or it happened, but I think he saw a shadow, so unfortunately 6 more weeks of winter, but that's not the worst either, so we'll keep it chugging along. We're all inside anyway, well, mostly. And it looks like it's actually going to be good weather this weekend for my birthday here. So hopefully I'll get to go on, do a hike, and enjoy the Super Bowl as well. So, living my best life. Excited to here to talk football and, appreciating, even though I hate the teams playing, well, not the teams. I hate Tom Brady and I hate the Chiefs playing this weekend. I'm still excited to watch a good football game, hopefully.
Yeah, I had a Chiefs fan. He's like, "You're going to cheer for the Chiefs, right? You can't cheer for Tom Brady." And I said, "This is like my worst nightmare of having to choose between Tom Brady and the Chiefs."
Yeah,
maybe the Raiders would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only one. But your proximity, you have issues because you live in Kansas. So like if I lived in Vegas, it would not be close,
Right.
But now it's Tom Brady versus the Chiefs. For me, it would be worse if it was the Raiders. For you, though, I mean, you can make an argument for the Chiefs. At least Patrick Mahomes is somewhat likable. I do worry that he's going to cross that Steph Curry line where he'd okay, we get it now. Give someone else a chance. Where you're shooting threes behind your back, get the heck out of here. But still, he's somewhat likable for the NFL at large.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to cheer for the Buccaneers just because I'm cheering for the Bucs team. And I guess if Tom Brady gets another ring, well, I mean, what's one more? It's not really going to change much of his legacy per se. I mean, yeah, he won one without Belichick, so that adds to it a little bit, but he was already regarded as a top 3 quarterback all time anyway. So it doesn't matter. I'd rather just not see the Chiefs get another one and get one closer to actually matching the Broncos and giving them reason to have great hope of their legacy, I guess. But
Bruce Arians fun to cheer for as well. Shaq Barrett's there in Tampa. And also, of course, future Hall of Fame tackle Tristan Wirfs from the University of Iowa. Everybody drink. We're 5 minutes in, and Nick mentioned the Hawks. If you guys know any Broncos fans that are cheering for the Chiefs, send them our way. We got to talk some sense into them. Does not compute.
Yeah. So, well, before we get to all that, we have to get to a little bit of business here to start off. We must say hello to our presenting sponsor of today's show, Manscaped. Listen up, fellas. 2020, it sucked. But it's 2021 now, which means it's time to embrace the new year, the new me mindset. And the best way to start cultivating that is with Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, offering precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and helping 2 million men around the world keep their male grooming on point. If you let yourself go in 2020 while in quarantine, Manscaped is here for you to reboot and stay clean and shaved for 2021.
Yeah, guys, and with Valentine's Day just right around the corner, maybe a little bit of a sprucing up down below the belt would be called for. I mean, obviously, a lot of people let themselves go down there, and I won't go into too much detail, but that's to be expected. But now's the time. You gotta make sure you're cleaned up and good to go for the big holiday coming up. Also, it looks like it's gonna be nice this weekend. Like I said, I'm hopefully gonna do some hiking. And probably one of my new favorite accessories. It's definitely a luxury item. You call that in something you don't need while backpacking, but I'd argue you would need it. The crop mop for keeping things clean and not sweaty and gross down south. That's a really good thing to have. And if you are somebody who perspirates a lot, like myself, I know, TMI Nick, the crop mop is incredible. They're also individually packaged, so they stay fresh, and you can just put one in your pack and you're good to go. So if you're outside hunting, whatever, the crop mop's a great product.
That it is. Also, right now, you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. Your family jewels will thank you.
Yeah, guys, that's right. Get 20% off and free shipping using the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and using the code HUDDLE. Happy New Year and happy Valentine's Day to your boys.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
All right. Well, I see a lot of these talking points coming up. You guys heard about the possible Carr Watson trade. We will get to that. That would, I think I might cry real tears if that happened. But before we get to that, we did want to get to our main topic today. I know these aren't the biggest names in the world, but they are the first moves of Mr. George Paton, Mr. GM, Mr. Leader of the Broncos team moving forward. And so we have Fred Brown, Darren Paulo, Jordan Leggett, Joel Heath, and Elijah Holder are his first cuts from the Broncos roster. And none of these are too big of a shock or anything like that. And like I said, none of them are going to be huge contributors unless there was major injuries to the roster. But I guess, Nick, is there any of these that really just stick out to you? Like maybe this is one that surprised you a little bit?
None of them really surprised me. The Broncos, it makes sense for them to move on from Fred Brown. He's a guy who's been in the league for a bit. You added Tyree Cleveland last year, who's the fifth or sixth wide receiver on the depth chart already. So, I mean, you're going to take away reps from the young guys, and especially Cleveland, who has the special teams ability. Probably not. You're looking to add another guy there that can fill that rotation. So moving on from Fred Brown makes a lot of sense. I'll be honest with you. I have not watched much Darren Paulo, so I have nothing to say there because I'm not going to speak on ignorance. Jordan Leggett, he's one that he was at Clemson, if you recall. He was an okay athlete. He was talked up in a pretty poor depth-wise tight end class. Yep. He's a move tight end who's not that good of a mover. And those kind of guys are going to flip around. And the Broncos, say what you will, they have Noah Fant, Albert Okwuegbunam, and Nick Vannett still on the roster. So Troy Fumagalli, Andrew Beck, et cetera. But Jordan Leggett going to kick around for a while. The two that I think were the most surprising were probably Joel Heath and Elijah Holder. Heath is somebody who I thought was worth probably a late pick coming out of Michigan State. He had incredible length and some versatility to play 3, 4, 5 technique. And he took this year off with the option due to the pandemic going on, because since we're not supposed to say the word, I guess. So he was one. I mean, your Shelby Harris might be gone. You don't really know if you have a guy who can kind of fill that role. Not that Joel Heath would replace him, but still he's a body that has some versatility and length, and that matters on the defensive line. You're losing Walker. You have Purcell coming back from injury. So Heath does, I guess, surprise me a little bit. And then Holder, he had some versatility. He's just a guy who he doesn't have enough twitch. He's too stiff. Maybe he can get a chance in a cover 3 scheme or more of a press-centric scheme, but you're looking for cornerbacks who can click and close, that have some fluidity to play off coverage, whether it be off zone or off man. Elijah Holder does not have that. I know Vic liked him because of the smarts, Stanford guy, and also the size and tackling, but it's too stiff. He's too stiff. So that's my thoughts on it. I probably would have, I mean, who knows? Joel Heath and Elijah Holder, a little bit of a surprise, but you're talking about bottom of the barrel roster guys, so it is what it is.
Right. All right. Buwana, can we bring up Mohamed Badri's super sticker here? Just want to give him a quick shout out and thank you for the super sticker. And of course, always loving the gear that you're wearing. Just always on point. And if anybody noticed, I did find my hat.
Yeah, you did. Good look.
I did. Well, my wife found it, I guess I should say. So, hey, you to Mohamed. Really appreciate you joining us every week. Just always nice to see you in here and many others as well.
Honestly, I always like seeing that pair. It makes me think of Manscaped. And also, Carl, we forgot real quick. Make sure you guys find us on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH and at Kendell MHH. If you're joining us on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. On Facebook, click those thumbs up. I see we have Laugh Reacts. We got 10 right now, hearts, but we have like 250 people viewing right now. How easy is it? Just click the like button, and that would do us a lot of good. And also don't miss all of our content over at milehighhuddle.com. I wrote like 5 articles last week. I should work on another one after this today, whether it be today or tomorrow. It'll be coming soon. Carl's got something coming down the tracks. Eric Trickle just released his mock offseason 1.0, which was, I think he sent it to Chad. It was like 4,000 words, and Chad got it under 2,000. How, I don't know, but here we are. So anyway, back to normal business here. Just wanted to get that in there. That Manscaped read, kind of, we don't have the flow totally down yet as to the intro, but we needed to get that in there.
Right, exactly. And so we have another super chat here real quick. Wanted to get to Levi Hope, man, wearing that shirt well. And appreciate the super chat. Hey, fellas, everyone that doesn't have an elite quarterback is getting rumored to Watson. Well, yeah, that's kind of
That works.
yeah. Until if you don't have one, you want one. Until he is traded, I'm not caring too much about it. Well, I'm caring about it in the sense of where he goes. Obviously, affects the Broncos in many different ways. If he goes to the Jets or the Dolphins, well, it kind of changes where the quarterbacks go possibly in the draft.
Yeah.
And eliminates my little sliver of hope that maybe the Broncos will take one of these draft prospects. This new rumor of him possibly going to the Raiders, that changes the whole outlook of the AFC West.
Don't even say it.
I know I don't want to say it, but you think about that of you got 2 top 5 guys automatically in the AFC West in the same division. Yeah, that's no good. Like Levi Hope said, you still have you got the Chargers having possibly another top 10 quarterback that could work his way up to top 5. And
they're all
Herbert,
25 and younger too.
yeah, so they're going to be around for a long time. We're talking 10 to 15. Some of them were talking about wanting to play as long as Brady. We'll see about that. But 20 years, that's no good. That means the Broncos are going to be the AFC East with the Patriots, where you're the bottom dweller almost every single year.
It's like the anti-version of that, though, because imagine if the Patriots were stuck in ineptitude with no options and the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills all had top 10 quarterbacks.
Right.
That's kind of what it would be.
Right.
It's more of my God. I saw that today. And when the Watson rumors first started happening, I said, you know what? I don't expect Watson to go to the Broncos. That would be great, but don't expect it. As long as he doesn't go to the bleep Raiders, I'm going to be okay with it. Because if he goes to the Raiders, and I know no income tax, Vegas, brand new stadium. I mean, historic franchise. I know that some people, why would he want to come here and go with Mahomes? I mean, are we talking about the same guy that was up 24-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs last year, and then the Texans defense completely fell apart? You have a shot with Watson. He's probably the one guy who gives you the best shot, maybe outside of Aaron Rodgers in a much smaller window. But Watson gives you a real shot. And if he went to the Raiders, oh my God. Now, do the Raiders they're kind of in the same situation as the Broncos, where do they actually have the capital that would warrant a trade if someone like the Jets or the Dolphins were in it? I don't know. But if I was Watson and, just in a vacuum, I obviously have love for the Broncos, so I'm biased, but in a vacuum, brand new stadium, awesome city, historic franchise, no income tax. I mean, I could be one of the faces in the NFL in Vegas. That's a team that is bound for it. The NFL would die to have Watson in Vegas and get Mahomes versus Watson all those years. Just if that happens, I can't lie to you. The Broncos would be in such a bad situation. I can't even think of an equivalent.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's it's just terrible. I don't really even want to think of it. The idea of the Raiders being halfway competent. Now, yeah, there's some questions about, obviously the Raiders have some major holes. That entire defense is just not good.
But they have 15 years to figure it out. That's the thing people don't understand about the quarterback. All these people, what about the defense if you gave up all these assets? You got 15 bleeping years. Yep. Think about how much roster shuffles over 15 years. You date back to 15 years for the Broncos. Jake Plummer was the starting quarterback. Imagine how much roster turnover you've had since then. I mean, imagine how much roster turnover we've had since Super Bowl 50, just 5 years ago. But you have the quarterback set, and you get to reshuffle the deck every time. Yep. So, I'm with you, Marty. God, your lips to God's ears and whoever you pray to. I don't care. Anybody but the Raiders. Everyone's like, if he goes to the Patriots, okay. AFC East, that's okay. I mean, that stinks. I'd rather him go to the NFC. Don't get me wrong, but don't go to the Raiders, please.
Yeah. I really. All right. Well, let's get off that for a little bit here. I'm sure we'll be talking about it throughout the evening here, but Black Knight has I like this question. I just wonder, who's the poor man's Dak Prescott in the draft?
I mean, it's got to be Kellen Mond, right?
I was going to say Davis Mills.
Davis Mills is interesting because they only played 11 games?
Yeah.
In college.
So let's let everybody know. Davis Mills was a quarterback for Stanford, and he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Went there.
Pocket passer quarterback that year.
Yep. So. Unfortunately, kind of got stuck behind, is it KJ Costello for a couple years. And then when he got his chance, got injured. And then, of course, this was supposed to be his real big season, and it got cut short because of everything going on. And so he never really got the chance to completely show what he could bring to the college football game. He looked pretty good this season, considering everything that's happened. He's got a good arm. He's smart. He's accurate. He's got decent athleticism. Nothing great, but it's enough.
It's like Matt Ryan having decent athleticism. It's not like he's like Matt Glennon back there or Kyle Orton. Yeah. But I wouldn't say it's a plus at all.
Okay.
Hey, Booma Bookman, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
But so there's a couple names for you guys to kind of take a look at and see if the Broncos miss out on the top 4 guys. Maybe here's one of these later rounds that can give you a glimmer of hope that they could turn into something.
Yeah, but my first thought is immediately going to Kellen Mond. Jamie Newman is the other one, and both those guys went down to the Senior Bowl. And I thought that in that Senior Bowl game, Kellen Mond had some good plays. I mean, he can make things happen out of structure. He's got a good arm. He's just been inconsistent. That's always been something that's plagued him. But, he's one of those things where the first question you ask when I watch quarterback is, does this guy have the requisite tools to get a foot in the door? And I think Kellen Mond does. So that's something where, same thing with Dak Prescott, inconsistent, more of a run first offense, kind of that Tebow mold, but could he develop into the quarterback? I saw the throw in motion, the arm talent where he could do that, and the athleticism and the frame. I feel the same way about Kellen Mond. Now I like Dak Prescott coming out much more than I like Kellen Mond. I mean, Dak Prescott was being talked about as a 2nd round quarterback until he got busted for, was it a DUI and marijuana? I don't know if it was both of them, but he got like right before the combine or around the combine. I remember we were out celebrating my wife's birthday, so it would have been around March 15th. And he got in trouble. I'm like, well, there goes his stock. Maybe the Broncos can get him round 3 or 4 now, and they can take Chris Jones round 1 because that's all I ever really wanted in that draft. But oh well. But still, it's Kellen Mond is the guy who comes to mind. And I guess the question that I would like to pivot on that, I know we got some supers starting to stack up here, but do you think the Broncos are in position where they should be looking to add a day 2, early day 3 quarterback? Does that make sense for where they are team building wise? Because obviously they always say, take a quarterback, it's a lottery ticket, blah, blah, blah. But in the past 10 years, teams have become even better and better at identifying the haves and the have-nots at quarterback position. You're not seeing guys day 2, day 3. I mean, it's a graveyard for the most part for the quarterback position. So do you think that's like, is that worth it? Or is it becoming a position where if you're not taking a guy who's worth a top 10 pick, don't take him?
I would say if there's a guy that you feel like fits your system, 3rd round and on, I mean, especially 4th round, when you get to that day 3 picks, you're throwing darts at a dartboard and just hoping to hit something big. So like a Davis Mills, where maybe because he hasn't had the games stacked up to show anything, you take a chance on that and just say maybe he becomes something. And it's just worth that kind of lottery ticket because it is the most important position to just see if something could happen from it. But you're right. For the most part, the quarterback position, if you're not picking top 10, top 15 with a quarterback, there's very little chance that something's going to happen. I mean, you got Russell Wilson, who just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, but a lot of people expected him to go higher. So
and the game has changed a bit since then as well. Like we saw Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield with height questions go number 1 back-to-back years. And that's not because of the foundation that Russell Wilson laid out. Right.
That's true.
There's things in the game's always changing. But still, the data shows, I know people are mocking the data. I know it's a big, huge conversation with Drew Lock right now. The data, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, I think you have to acknowledge that if Locke becomes a top 10 quarterback, he is a massive outlier. If you're willing to bet on a massive outlier, that's on you. But still, I think the data is starting to show that these teams are becoming even better at identifying the haves and the have-nots at the quarterback position. And if a guy's worth, being drafted, most of the time they're going top 10, definitely going round 1.
All right, Levi Hope coming in again. Would you guys want Paton to trade up to get a quarterback? Who would you want? Obviously not Trevor, because Jacksonville's not – I think you could offer them 5 first-round picks, and I don't think they're trading out of that spot.
Yeah, not going to happen. The only one that maybe there's a conversation is if Deshaun Watson was available for the Jags, but that's an interdivision trade, so It's not happening, but that's the only thing I can think of.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
Would I trade up? Would you guys want Paton to trade up for a quarterback? Or Paton? If Paton believes that there is a quarterback that is worth trading up for, abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, look around the league. Look at the championship games that just happened. It's a have or have not position. If you don't have the guy, honestly, people will still try to drum up support and hope for the team this next year. But unless you have a top 10 quarterback, you're probably not going very far unless you have exceptional luck. And I know people will point to the 2015 defense. I stand by it. Exceptional luck. They had like this thin of a margin of error, and they walked that line, baby. Every single game in the playoffs, the ball bounced their way. I mean, even week 2 against the Chiefs, like Broncos get home field advantage because of that. It's just every single thing went right that season. I think, honestly, because of that 2015 season, we're having a little bit of payback over the last 5 years. But
and I agree. I think it has almost made some people misunderstand what happened that season. Because like I said, there was an element of luck. I mean, they were a very talented team. Don't get me wrong. They were one of the top 3 defenses of the last 15 years. There's no question about that.
Yep.
But you're right. There were some bounces that definitely helped in some of those games. Getting home field advantage, huge for that defense to be able to time that snap it was just so many things went right. Even with the offense having their struggles, it just, that's really hard to repeat.
Yeah. And also we know now about defenses, the farther we've gone along is elite defenses. You maybe have like a window of 2 years. I mean, look at all these Jacksonville defense a few years ago. Oh, Saxonville, they're going to be great for a while. The Bears defense. I mean, where are they at now? That's something also about this Rams trade. They're the number 1 defense right now. They'll probably regress pretty quickly. Defenses tend to regress fast. Offenses don't, but that's because offensive output is almost exactly linked to the quarterback position and how good that quarterback is.
So to answer the second part of that question, here's my order. I have Zack Wilson as my second favorite quarterback in this draft behind Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance.
Yeah, I'm not ready to put Zack Wilson or Fields 2 or 3 yet. So I'm going to be 2A or 2B. I like them both. I think Wilson is probably more day one ready. I still like Fields' overall game better. I think that he's got some stuff to him. And also his teammates rave about him as a person as well. So I think early on Fields, you have to be a little bit more patient with him, not to the extent of Trey Lance, but you have to be a little bit more patient for him. But I think there's something special there. I may still end up going with Fields because he has accuracy. That's like, it's better than Trevor Lawrence is. That has probably the weakest arm of the big 4, but is 240, 6'3", and he's really, really good. I think he would have been the number 1 pick last year if he was available.
Right. And he has those absolute wow plays where it looks like he's going to be sacked 3 different times and somehow turns it into a positive play. Those are the kind of things you need to be able to beat like a Chiefs team.
Yeah.
That you're going to have some special plays along the way. And he's one of those guys. He does take a ton of sacks because he tries to be too special at times, but so does Deshaun Watson. So, yeah.
He's somewhere between Deshaun Watson and Ryan Tannehill. Good Ryan Tannehill that we've seen with the Titans. And then Trey Lance, Carl, the big thing for me with Trey Lance, I love him. I've been dubbed the king of the Trey Lance bandwagon, which, cool. That's somebody I would be willing to bet on. The thing is, are the Broncos a good situation for him? I think Trey Lance is somebody who, if you have an established quarterback where he's obviously going to be that dude that year, Trey Lance is a phenomenal pick. Yep. If you are in a situation where you have to see Trey Lance year 1, I don't love it.
Yeah,
I don't. That's why, if Trey Lance, please, Trey Lance, go to the Falcons, go to that Arthur Smith bootleg heavy offense, play under center, use that athleticism, sit behind Matt Ryan for 1.5 years. That's the path to success. I don't know if the Broncos are the best fit because of the situation and personnel wise.
Right. I'm with you there. All right. We got a super chat from Peter Terranova.
Yes.
If you want to go ahead and pull that one up here. There we go.
Thank you, Peter.
Really appreciate it, Peter. Hey guys, I like Parsons, but I don't see them taking him due to his character issues. Me either. Yeah. Is this linebacker class strong enough to take a swing on someone else in the early rounds? And if so, who? The easy answer, yes. This is one of the best off-ball linebacker classes that we've had in a long time.
how does it rank compared to the 2018 class that had obviously you had both both Devons, and then also I think Darius Leonard and Fred Warner. I think they're all in the same class. That's pretty special.
Well, I mean, we have hindsight on that one.
I might be mixing up 2 years though, so I might be combining 2 years. But yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, I guess I like the depth of this one better because that's 4 names. Yeah. But I think there's more than 4 guys that we can look at here for the off-ball linebacker group. I know one of your favorites is Browning.
Oh yeah, oh man, but he's too popular now. He's like going to go in the back of the first round because of his athleticism, size, and pass rushing ability.
Yeah,
somebody's going to take him. We're moving to positionless football. That's just coming. You see guys like Kyle Pitts. Is he a tight end? Is he a wide receiver? I don't care. Get him the ball. Right. Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, positionless football. And you need guys who can be big athletes in space that can do multiple things to overcome that. And that's what Browning can do. So I love Browning. I think he might sneak in the back of the first round. I know everybody's like, oh, Zaven Collins, Nick Bolton. I think they're good. I think Browning should go before them.
Right. He's got the bigger upside, what he can bring to the field. But like I said, you listed a couple other names there. Any others that really stick out to you that you like?
I really, really like, I'm not as big on Chaz Surratt. He came in with like 30-inch arms and he had an okay week down at Mobile. I think he's still fine. I don't love him.
Yeah.
Obviously Brandon Browning is somebody I really like. I'm a big fan of Jabril Cox. He's a little bit older, but if you're looking for a coverage linebacker, I think there's a lot of potential there. And I'm also a huge fan of Cam McGrone from Michigan. He was kind of a surprise early entry this year. I think a redshirt sophomore. And he can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but dude flies. I mean, he looks like Devin Bush out there playing for Michigan. He can fly around. And he's somebody that if he fell 3rd, 4th round, which is area that I'd be looking to take linebacker, I would jump. I would love him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think some of the things I see with Chaz Surratt is the same things I see with Parsons, that they guess a lot. Mm-hmm. That when they guess right, it's a big play. When they guess wrong, it is not good. They are way out of position, leave a hole wide open for a big run play, pass play, whatever you want to say. So, yeah, Zaven Collins would be my pick. Yeah, there's another decent name. Big guy.
He's like a 4'7" guy. I don't know, like, are you just replacing Alexander Johnson with somebody who's less physical? I don't know. I don't see it exactly with Collins. I think he's good, but like a couple of games, he just, I don't see him at all. And he's just not super physical coming downhill, which for a guy that size, it scares me.
Yeah, I can get that. All right, we got Levi Hope coming in here with the super chat. Another one. Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it.
Sorry, we got one looking for it. There you go.
I got it. Do you think Micah Parsons drops out of the first? I don't see the Broncos drafting a player with those off-field issues. Thoughts? The hard part here is but he still went 31.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think
take a shot.
Yeah, I think you're going to see, like, it wouldn't surprise me, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, they took a linebacker last year with off the field issues right there at the end of the first round, second round. Was it second round? Yeah. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see somebody take that kind of risk. It just all depends on how much of this teams can prove and find out. The lack of interviews, I don't know if that helps or hurts him. I think it probably helps him just because I think he would interview terribly with teams.
Yeah, doesn't it smell like if he falls, the Raiders would take him? Doesn't he just seem like, he's this big, bad, athletic guy? The Raiders have needed linebacker, back seven help forever. They took a guy kind of with some character issues that make splash plays that you're not sure about the overall mental side of the game. Jonathan Abram. Yeah. I know that draft they also stacked early with more character guys, but then they took Abram, who is not a character guy. They kind of want some mean and nasty on the defense. I think if the Raiders hold on to that first overall pick, or not first overall, but their first round pick, and he falls to 15, 16, wherever the heck they're picking, I think he'd go to the Raiders. But fall out of the first round completely, I guess it's how much validity there is to the sexual assaults and I don't want to get too graphic in here, but the stuff he did, if you can read about it, it's pretty gross. It
really is.
Yikes.
Do I think the Broncos would draft him? I don't think that they have the kind of locker room where they feel like they could handle a guy like that right now. That's the main thing. If they got themselves a veteran quarterback like Deshaun Watson, maybe they feel a little bit better about that kind of stuff. Depends on who they also bring back defensively as veterans. So if you think Justin Simmons can mentor this guy, I'm trying to think who else.
You see the old heads of Vic Fangio and Donatel putting up with him, though? I mean, I can see like one of those more new cutting-edge defensive guys, like, oh, hey, what's going on? But Vic Fangio, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I see that being a very problematic situation. So I really don't see the Broncos being big on Micah Parsons. Maybe they surprise you just because they love those athletic guys. I mean, we've seen Vic Fangio work with a lot of very athletic linebackers, but still, when there's so many other options in this draft, I think that's the big thing that's hurting him probably more than anything is, do you take this guy who has high athleticism but is raw and has off-the-field issues, or do you take this other guy that has 2-3 years of starting experience and it looks really good on the field in the second, third round? I'd rather err on the side of safe there with this one.
No, absolutely. I agree with you there.
This is the Overtime Podcast Network.
We got Relo Takeover coming in here. Is Paton going to re-sign Simmons after waiving? So after the waivers that just happened, I don't think they can actually make a move yet until the Super Bowl's over, until the league year opens. I mean, just like the Stafford deal, it's not official yet. It's just, a handshake agreement right now. It does sound like he's going to prioritize Simmons. That said, I mean, this is an interesting thing. Carl, I think we should talk about this too. Don't want to go too far off your question. I do think that Paton will try to re-sign Simmons, but I also think Simmons is going to ask for a top 3, if not the number 1 safety deal, because it's his turn to get paid, and that's just how it works. And with the cap constricting, that makes it difficult. Maybe they'll put more money on the back end, but we'll see. Do you think they'll re-sign Simmons? Now, I thought with Elway it was not as likely. With Paton, I think it's odds increased spectacularly.
Yeah, I do. I think we saw with the Vikings, they did pretty darn good about re-signing their own guys.
Yeah,
that seemed to be a huge priority for them. If we drafted him, if they turned into something good, we're going to keep him here. And it sounds like Simmons already talked about that. He reached out to him right away and told him, hey, we really appreciate all you've done. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. It just sounds like they are really trying to – I don't think the relationship's completely hurt or anything like that, but I do think there are some questionable things going on in that relationship. I think Simmons, at the end of the season, when he was talking about, hey, thank you for all of the time that I've had here in Denver, I think there was a little bit of, I don't know if this is my last game. I don't know if I'm done here. And like I said, Paton coming in, I think really increased those odds of him coming back. Some of it does depend on the quarterback situation. And obviously if the Broncos, if Watson says, hey, I really like the Broncos and they go big on him, they might wait on signing Simmons until they figure out for sure if they're out on Watson, just because you got to make sure you have the cap space to make all that work.
I think it's really going to drag out. I think the Watson deal, if it does happen, we're talking about like July, August kind of thing. I don't think this is going to finish soon. I think it's going to get uglier before it gets better for Houston and Watson. So we'll see. I mean, who knows? Something I wanted to get back to here, and I'm not trying to poop on anybody in the local media side of things at all, but I did want to ask you on air, and this actually maybe should have been a topic of conversation, maybe even the lead title today, but did you find it odd at all that the national media guys, as far as the Broncos' interest in Matt Stafford, all had the same information? They were all saying the same things. Almost every single local outlet had something different as far as what the Broncos offered, as far as players, picks, compensation, how interested they were. Did they just make a phone call? Did they actually make a formal offer? National guys saying, yes, they did. Here's what the offer likely involved, blah, blah, blah. All these local media guys are saying something different. What are your thoughts on that?
I think obviously the Broncos want to control the narrative as much as possible among the local fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they care as much about the national story as they do about the local story. Because, I mean, we're seeing it with the Rockies right now. That they want to control that local narrative. Yeah. And the Rockies are doing terrible at it, and we're celebrating.
Thank you, Rockies.
I'm sorry.
Cardinal fans here.
But
sorry.
I do think there is some of that of you still want your fans to obviously be excited about Drew Lock and what he can bring for the future. But I mean, the fact that they've already been on pretty much every quarterback conversation outside of the Broncos. And Mike Kliss even said it the other day. He said, Drew Lock has not earned the starting job. He didn't do it. He didn't. So I think even though you're seeing those local guys try to push for that idea that they really didn't want to get rid of Drew Lock or anything like that. And there's still that hope of maybe he could develop into something. Maybe if he sits for a year or two behind a veteran, maybe he turns into something. But I still think that they're trying to play both sides here a little bit. Of Broncos want a true, legit starting quarterback, but they also don't want to completely destroy that relationship with Drew Lock and the fans.
Okay, well, I have a different thought here, and it's something that I think it was Joe Rolls put it out there, and it is did you ever watch Game of Thrones, Carl?
Like an episode or two.
Okay, not for you. That's fine. Whatever. I was a big fan. Very good series. Explicit, but fun. So this character named Tyrion, he becomes the hand of the king, kind of the decision maker, while the king can go do whatever the heck he wants. And there's a leak in his council chambers. So what he does is he tells all his trusted advisors on the board 3 different things. He says, I'm going to marry off the daughter to this family. No, to one person. I'm going to marry it to a different family to another person. I'm going to marry the daughter off to a different family to a third person. And then the mom finds out, comes back and is irritated and comes with one of those people's information. There's your rat. So I think there's a very strong possibility that Paton is playing some 4D chess here. And he said, I'm going to give the information to different people, and we're going to find out where this leak is coming from. And that's based on what they hear and who. So now he has more information about where these leaks are coming from. So I think that's probably the thing that makes the most sense for me, given how just totally different all these local people's information was. I think Paton was playing mind games. I think he was telling these guys different stuff on purpose because he was trying to find out where the leaks were coming from.
That makes a ton of sense, because I know, from what I understand, Paton is really big on wanting nothing getting out.
Yeah.
And the Broncos have been, okay, I'll just give you a peek behind the curtain here a little bit. Broncos are one of the worst teams in the NFL about information getting leaked. Under John Elway, they let it flow like crazy. There was no doubt who they liked hardly ever.
Yeah.
It was crazy how much information you could get from the Broncos. I don't know if they just like that to have that information and share. I don't know. But I do think you're probably right. He wants to kind of lock some of that down and keep some of that behind doors, especially when you're talking about the quarterback position. You don't want to have to overpay to go get your guy, because everybody's like, they absolutely love this guy.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have to, it makes a ton of sense. It really does.
Yeah. Somebody said that. I'm like, mind blowing. My third eye was open. But this was a Paton playing a brilliant move from a decision maker thing, where he has a trusted circle, or a circle that's there, tells him different things. And whatever comes back to him that was not supposed to get out, you link it back to that one person. So it would be really interesting. Now, once they killed that kid's dog in Game of Thrones, I was, that was really sad. Yep.
I saw that and I'm like, no, I'm done.
It was, that was upsetting. I have a dog now, so maybe that would hit differently. And we got John Hudson coming in here. I just think it was a smart move. I think it was playing 4D chess and the politics of it, which, I mean, you're, as a general manager, make no mistake, it's as much politics as it is talent evaluation. So we got John Huston coming in here. John, appreciate you. I always love your picture there. That's a really cool picture, compilation of John Elway there. Oh, man. Back in the days when the Broncos had an elite quarterback, right? Speaking of potential elite quarterbacks, Zack Wilson looks, from John Huston here, Zack Wilson looks kind of small and scrawny. I think he meant and scrawny. I agree with you. I think Zack Wilson's somebody, he is a little small, 22 years old. He needs to put on some more weight. It's kind of one thing that makes me kind of nervous for like Jaden Daniels coming out next year with ASU. Just those slender shoulders, a little skinny. The ball pops out of there, but Josh Rosen burnt me so bad on those slender quarterbacks. I don't know. So Zack Wilson, you can look at it one of two ways. He's skinny. He's had injury. I think he was injured last year. So that's a concern. That maybe that's correlated to how scrawny he is. The other way you can look at it is this dude's going to pack on pounds. He's already got a live arm. He can add more velocity to the football when he puts more strength into his core.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's definitely some injury risk with him, probably above any of the other top 3 guys, just because, like you said, size, already has the injury history, and just his playing style sets up a little bit that he could get hurt. He has Drew Lock does this too, of sometimes holding on to the ball way too long, trying to hope that something will break open and taking hits that he doesn't need to take. He does it. He doesn't take as many sacks as like a Justin Fields, but he takes a lot of hits too. And so he does need to learn better about that. But some guys get it, some guys don't. Patrick Mahomes isn't the biggest guy in the world. Obviously, Kyler Murray's not the biggest guy in the world. So I think you can be okay with that kind of size in today's NFL, just because you need that ability to move, and he can move.
Yeah, and speaking of guys who can move a little bit, Sam Ellinger gets no talk. He was solid in college. College quarterbacking is a different beast than the NFL. And Sam Ellinger, fine college quarterback, not great, but fine. Good athlete, kind of can do some of that power spread stuff. Arm talent just isn't there. He's just not a good enough thrower of the football, not cerebral enough either. I think Texas has a backup quarterback, honestly, that flashed last year that I was way more excited about than Ellinger. And now, there's something to be said about a solid college quarterback. I mean, Alabama went through him for years, and they can steer the ship. But Ellinger, somebody might take a 6th or 7th round flyer on him, but I probably wouldn't do it. Yeah,
he's one of those guys. I didn't see the level of growth that you need to see throughout college.
Yeah,
you like to see that accuracy improve dramatically. You saw a lot of really weird decisions. Some of those running around plays. He had games where he was absolutely the hero, and then he had games where he was part of the reason his team lost. So if you take 7th round flyer, the Broncos have 3 7th round picks. I'm not going to fight it too much because it's a 7th round pick. And the guy has some size to him. He's got some athleticism, obviously, but it's just nothing that gets you too excited.
Yeah, we got Todd coming in here. Todd, good to see you. Hello, Broncos country. Well, hello right back to you. We appreciate you, Todd. Anytime you can come in. We got John coming in again. Farley scares me with his injury issues. I would be happy if we took Surtain the 2nd, not the 3rd. He's almost no bust proof. His dad was a Pro Bowler. Less ceiling, though. I mean, I hear you with the injury stuff. It's just Fairley to me is such a better scheme fit, and I think he's also scheme transcendent. I just don't see the ability to stick with quick twitch receivers. I think you line up guys, especially, I mean, gosh, you're talking about the AFC West. This is a track division. I think Surtain holds them deep vertically fine, but the ones who can create separation off a dime, I mean, like the Jerry Jeudy's of the world, I don't see it, especially because he's not allowed to get his hands on them, which Fangio likes to play off coverage a lot. So I definitely think if you take Surtain, it's like hitting a double. I feel really good about one of the boundary cornerback positions the next 4 or 5 years. Not great, but good. And there's value in that, especially in this year with no combine and you're not going to see these guys normally. But I don't know, man. Farley's tape, the way he moves, there's some special ability there. It's a different tier. So I would probably lean Farley.
Yeah. If Farley stays healthy, it's easy to see his projection going to that top 10 cornerback in the NFL. I mean, he has a lot of growth that he needs to make in his game. But like I said, you just see just such incredible flashes in what he brings to the table. His size, his athleticism. You talk about being able to line up against guys like Tyreek Hill one-on-one. He's one of the few that can actually keep up with that kind of speed. Same with obviously Ruggs with the Raiders, and he's got the size to compete with like a Darren Waller or a Travis Kelce. He could line up against those guys and still hold his own. So that's why, like I said, he's just that scheme transcendent. We don't know if Fangio is going to be here past this season. So if you go get a guy that can fit whatever system you stick out there, you kind of go that direction. There's more risk, obviously, but I think at this point, especially in the AFC West, you got to take some risks. If you want to get your team back on top, you're going to have to take some major risks that you're going to hit on some all-pro talents.
Yeah, and also something to be said is, and I've been talking with a recent follower of myself on Twitter, Eric Crocker, who was an NFL defensive back for a while. We've had some back and forth, and he's got me on something where, what is the rarest skill set for a coverage player? It's the ability to stick on guys on man. And be able to do that without getting their hands on them, just being able to play in their hip pocket.
Yeah.
And I think Farley has a degrees of freedom difference better than Surtain at that.
Right.
So, I mean, medical checks will be big. I know that they're still having combines, regional combines this year. So Farley will still have medical checks. It won't be as standardized as normal, but he's going to have to pass that hurdle. But still, I mean, I'm all in. Honestly, at 9, if the Broncos aren't in on quarterback and they're not trading down, there's only 2 options that make me really happy. Sewell, who probably will not be there, and Caleb Farley. Other than that, it's just kind of lukewarm, which is unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it shapes up at the 9 this year.
Yeah.
Or in the top 10. Here we go. John Hudson again. John, coming in. We appreciate you. People are crazy thinking we cut James, his cap hit. I've heard some talk that they might be working on a settlement with James. So we'll see what comes of that. Maybe he can get some more money that would not be exactly on the cap. That's just whispers right now. I've also heard that, obviously we know that the offensive line is not super happy with James. I mean, I think they get him opting out this year because of the pandemic. And I think he has family that has some health concerns as well. That being said, from what I've been picking up, he essentially kind of like ghosted them, right? Like not checking in. He's not there. Right. He's not mentally there. He's not having that long distance relationship that you need for a guy who opted out this year. Right. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but there's some movement that way. I'm not sure exactly how the cap would work out. I personally have said keep him because, it's a lottery ticket and you're already paying him. So if it works, great. If not, you're already on the hook. But if they can get a settlement, that might change the game a little bit.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's been some questions about, like I said, just his commitment to the team, where they were really wanting him to be at least a part of meetings and discussions this season. And not in the building, but just at least show up, Zoom meetings, whatever. And there's some questions of whether he was really being a part of that. And
it's like a long distance relationship, man. You still got to put in the work and communicate. Otherwise, those guys aren't going to trust you.
Right.
So let me see. We got a bunch of talk in here. We should get to this one in a second. Okay. Here we go. Daryl Washington Sr. Broncos should draft Kwity Paye. This is an interesting one. Kwity Paye. I like Kwity Paye. I'm going to leave it to you first. All right. Okay. Ooh. A whoop whoop there. Carl, give it to me. Give me the Kwity Paye talk.
So, okay. I remember, I think it was like a month and a half ago. You asked me Kwity Paye or Gregory Rousseau. And I said Rousseau. I'm changing my opinion on that.
Okay.
Paye, I mean, I underestimated how much his athleticism really is there. I thought Rousseau had this higher ceiling. And he probably still does just because of that size, that length. But I think you know what you're getting in Paye for the most part, and he still has more ceiling to go. The guy's super athletic, has a motor that never stops. You can move him all over the formation. I mean, they had him at nose tackle, 3 tech, 5 tech, 7 tech. You name it, they had him going. He dropped even the coverage sometimes for him. This guy, he's already day one going to be a great run defender. You don't have to question that part of his game. He was great in Michigan doing that. And then his ability to go get after the quarterback. He was, I think, one of the best at causing pressure this last year in college, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And even though he didn't have the greatest team around him, because, Michigan was not good this year, he was still a star. And I like his game a lot. I don't know about at pick 9. I'd want to trade back to like pick 15 or so, and then I'd feel much, much better about it. But he's definitely my number 1 edge rusher in this class.
The way 9 is setting up, it's probably going to be a position where if the Broncos don't trade back, they're going to be in a rough spot because it's going to be Kyle Pitts and 1 or 2 of the wide receivers. And I think it's exceedingly likely that like a team like Detroit and I don't think Detroit's going to take a quarterback, which we haven't even talked about the Stafford ramifications for the draft. We will have a chance to do that, folks. Not today, maybe, but we will down the line. But I could see like the Eagles, a team that's desperate for wide receiver, but they also need cornerback. You look at this class. There are some cornerbacks deep, but like the drop off is not good. I think it was Ben Solak today was like, guys, Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley, that's it. I don't want no one else. But the wide receiver deep, you can find guys day 2 every single year now. That's just kind of the nature of the game. So I don't know. I don't know how it'll play out, but it will be interesting. But trading back 15, I think there are options there. If somebody's interested in trading back in that like 15 to 25 range for the Broncos, I mean, you got offensive tackles, you got edge rushers. There are still some cornerbacks there, maybe some linebackers. That's much more of the strength of this class, I think, right there, if you can get it. Besides quarterback in the top 10, I think those 4 big quarterbacks I think they'd go top 10 in any class.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how it's stacking up in my eyes.
Yep. All right, we got Kenneth Booker. Yeah.
Hey.
Draft Jalen Darden.
Oh, speed, baby.
So you have Sutton, Darden, Hamler, Judy.
Oh, my God. Don't tempt me, Kenneth. Don't tempt me. I mean, have you watched Jalen Darden yet?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, he flies, Carl. I know that the Broncos don't really need it, but this would just be you're replacing Deontay Spencer with a round 4 pick, which, okay, cool. And then you have one of the fastest players in football. I mean, he came in. The reason he was so lightly recruited is because he was like 120 pounds coming out, but he could fly. And he had like the best yards after catch in football this year. One of the best, most explosive players. I mean, he can fly, and he's not like Jakeem Grant level small. Like, you can find offensive touches for him. I don't hate it, Kenneth. I think that there is something to be said about stacking on a strength.
Right. And so anybody wondering, he plays for North Texas.
I need to do better about that. Sorry, Blum.
No, you're good. He's doing a great job reminding us. This year had 74 receptions, 1,190 yards, 19 touchdowns.
I mean, it's just watch his highlights. Obviously, you don't watch highlights to get an idea of what a guy is, but they get your heart pumping. You know, you might need to sit down before that. Let me see. We got Buana still working the comment section here. He flashed one for a second. He's nodding his head at me. Okay, here we go. Tyler Randall. Tyler, thank you so much. Good to see you. And I don't recognize your name, so hopefully we'll see you around here again. Absolutely love the work, fellas. Tyler, we absolutely love you. I will check out the pod after work. What is the chance of trading for Lattimore and the predicted cost? Denver Broncos for life. This is an interesting one. I guess I would love to get Lattimore. It's just I feel a little bit uncomfortable trading assets for guys that you need to pay big money for before you have the quarterback position settled. These are the kind of things where it gets really fun. You can play general manager after you have your quarterback. And the Broncos, when you know you have your quarterback, I should say. Maybe the Broncos do. There's no way they know.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think the Broncos would be the top team to go after him. You got to build up the rest of the roster. Like I said, you got to find your quarterback to feel better about that situation. You're looking at a team that feels like they are a cornerback away from really competing for Super Bowls. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I know the Chiefs are not in the best cap situation, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the Chiefs go after something like this. It adds another piece. They're going to need some cornerback help after the season. Like you said, after the first 2 guys that are going to be gone before the Chiefs ever pick in the draft, this one makes some sense for them. And I would hate
the Bills. Would make a lot of sense. The Packers, after Kevin King looked like absolute garbage. The Browns need some cornerback help. I mean, Greedy Williams, maybe, but you can bring in Lattimore, and then you can have Denzel Ward with some inside-outside ability. I mean, hello. Pretty darn fun. Tennessee, maybe another team that would be interested. They looked bad this year in the defense. I mean, really shockingly bad on defense. And so,
I would say the Broncos are more likely sellers than traders. Or buyers, I guess you should say.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, either way, they'd be trading. But I would say that's probably more the direction you might see them go. A playoff team, possibly wanting to trade for like a Von Miller. Where the Broncos
a lot of conversation. Here we go. Let's pull up Gavin Hall right now. Trade Von for a 5th. All right, guys. Well, I think there's such a PR conversation to be had about Von Miller as well. First, we need to know what the cap is going to be. Is Von Miller willing to accept the restructure / extension to kick money down the line? I mean, that's something that matters. How does this off the field stuff play out? That matters. Yeah. How's the injury coming along? I mean, we should, at some point, let's put it in the tank though. At some point, we're going to have a Von Miller conversation because it is one that we don't have enough time to flush out all the details because it's complicated.
But I would say just from things that I've heard, a 5th is you're shooting low there. I think the Broncos can actually ask for quite a bit for Von Miller. I mean, he's still, even with the injury, even with the cap hit, he's still one of the most feared men on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL. And you can get 2-3 years out of him and have that kind of playoff Super Bowl push. I think you might see a couple teams that are willing to really spend to get that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. We got Marino Silva coming in here. Good to see. I don't know what the R So let us know in the comment section where you're coming from, Marino. Good to see you, and I hope you're doing well wherever you're. Oh, Brazil! Wow, reading's essential, Nick. Thank you so much. Hey guys, shout out from Brazil. There it is, Nick. God bless. What do you guys think about trading the first pick to pile up a couple more and then draft a safety in earlier rounds, orange and blue blood? Trying to follow the logic here, Carl. I'll give this one to you. I'm trying to figure out exactly what he's saying. Trading the first pick, like trading back.
Piling up picks. Essentially kind of doing what the Vikings have done the last couple years, trying to get to that 12. Let me just say this. Vikings set the record for most picks in the modern draft. So that means when they switched to the seven rounds draft, John broke that record. I think he had like 20, 21 players, something like that. But no, that 15 picks was the record. But, I mean, you have Paton coming in. That's the kind of setup that he has. He already said, I like to have as many darts to throw at the dartboard as possible. So I think if they're not going quarterback, there's a really good chance the Broncos are trying to trade back.
Yeah, that's is what it is. What do you think about safety? Maybe they do trade back. I mean, I know that Richie Grant just had a great game. TCU Mooring, I think is his name, Tevon Mooring for TCU is another guy who's got some hype. What do you think about taking a safety and let's just call it the top 40?
It's a little rich for my blood.
Yeah.
I think really the 50 to 100 is where the safeties, that's where I'd be really comfortable. There's a few names there that look pretty good that I'd have no problem taking. I don't know how much safety is a need just because we don't know about Simmons. We don't know about Will Parks. I do think it's a need just because Will Parks, you're probably only signing him to a year contract. Obviously, Kareem Jackson, probably not here longer than this next season, even if we don't even know if he's going to be here this season, just because he might be a cap casualty. Yeah. So safety could become a need. I just need to see a little bit of free agency and how that position plays out. I think that's one of the most unknown positions for the Broncos this upcoming season.
Fluid.
Yep.
Is a word I'd use. So, all right, Buana, let's key up another one here. All right, we got Hudson coming again. Fairley is older, 23. William Jackson, a free agent. I will need to look up Fairley's age. I did not know that he was 23 years old, but that would be interesting. I do like William Jackson a lot. I think a team that has ample cap room is going to throw the bag at him. He is probably the best cornerback off the top of my head on the market, especially because he can play boundary as well.
Right. No, you're right. He would be I think a lot depends on this is going to be maybe one of the craziest free agencies we've ever seen because you're going to see teams that have to cut a ton of players to get under the cap. So you're going to see this market flooded beyond anything you've ever seen before. That means you're going to see some still major deals and you're going to go, but you're going to see a lot of those middle guys taking those 1 to 2 year deals that could really make a big difference. It might be best to play the Patriot way, where they wait for those second and third waves of free agency and they go more quantity than quality. And so far it's worked out pretty darn well for them. I think this is another year where that would be huge for them.
Yeah. And here are the teams with the most cap space. The Jaguars have $65 million. The Jets have $62 million. The Colts have $59, Patriots $54. Then there's a pretty big drop off. The Seahawks $38, Bengals $35, Bucks $28, Chargers $23, Washington football team 22, and the Dolphins at 22. And those are the only teams with 20 million of cap space. So that dries up pretty darn quickly when you're talking about signing a guy. I mean, heck, would any of these guys, like quarterback's making 40 million a year right now, only 4 of those teams could even fit in that one contract. And we don't even know how many other guys are under contract for each of those teams, which would really change how much cap space they have. So, right. It will be interesting. We don't know what the cap's going to be yet. There's going to be a number of guys that are going to have to restructure kicking money down the line. Like you said, it's a word that's been used way too much over the last calendar year, but unprecedented. Here we are again. I mean, it's an unprecedented offseason. Teams were expecting the cap to be 30, 40 million more than it's going to be. What to do now?
Yep, exactly.
How do I like Jalen Phillips? Really good. Jalen Phillips has the talent to be the best edge rusher in this class. He's super long. He was the number 1 overall edge recruit that went to UCLA. He's had 3 concussions, which caused him to medically retire for a bit before going to Miami. And the UCLA doctor told him to retire. I think he also had it's either an ankle or a shoulder injury. I don't have the information in front of me, but it's concerning. I mean, he's a guy who he takes one more ding to the head And God, that doesn't sound very nice. One more significant blow because CTE is not a joke. And, he could be done. And also he's very interested in a music career as well. So, that's you're taking a risk, high risk, high reward. But man, tape is fun. Quincy Roche had a good week at the Senior Bowl. Mm-hmm. Christian Darrisaw absolutely just took his lunch money. I'm a big fan of Christian Darrisaw, Carl. If they took him at 9, I'd be like the kombucha girl. It's like, oh man, tackle. Okay, well he's pretty good.
That one face.
Yeah, that's like, no. Well, okay. So yeah, we got one. Also, we got our guy David Kilgore coming in here. I saw this one. Juan, if you don't mind me grabbing it real quick, we're talking cornerbacks. Do you guys see us going after Patrick Peterson? This is another one where Patrick Peterson, he's been on the Cardinals, who have struggled for the majority of his career there. And maybe the Broncos will make a play at him. Is he the best scheme fit? He's probably more of a press guy at this point. I could see him wanting to go to a team like Buffalo or Green Bay or Baltimore or Cleveland or the Steelers or the Titans. All these teams that are in their playoff window more than the Cardinals are right now. Maybe even like the Patriots with all the cap they have. Vegas needs cornerbacks still, even though they've drafted a bunch recently. He's a good name to watch. I'm glad when he was being shopped around a few years ago, the Broncos didn't trade their number 1 overall pick for him, because I know a lot of people said they should. And that ended up being that 10th overall pick, which gave them a lot of capital. So I would see them go after Patrick Peterson. He's not the guy he was. Probably not going to be here.
Yeah. He's one of those cornerbacks. Part of me, honestly, I feel like he's been overrated a lot in his career, just because he got taken that top 5. I liked him. I liked him in the draft. If the Broncos didn't take Von Miller, I think Patrick Peterson was my next guy. And I think he's been, like I said, a top 10 cornerback most of his career. But there's times where he just gets so hyped up and you see him get burned, where he really falls for those double moves a lot more than I like for a number 1 cornerback.
Cornerback is such an athletic-based position where as soon as you lose a step, unless you're playing the cover 3 Seahawks defense, where it depends much more on intelligence and whatnot. But cornerback with how old Patrick Peterson is here, it could go away quick. We saw it, I hate to be this guy, but Champ Bailey, after the injuries happened and he lost that step, it was not Champ Bailey anymore. Yep. Second place Bailey. So that's just, it is what it is. So I'm not super interested. We got some more here, Buana. You can take the wheel. Oh God, this is, I knew this would come. Najee Harris at 9, just for Nick. I have a bet with somebody out there. I don't remember who it is, but I need to find it. That he said Najee Harris would go 15 or earlier. And I said, easy money. Running backs don't matter, baby. Let's go. Dial it in. I remember a lot of people, I think Eric even gave me a hard time because the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I'm like, you're taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands for a first-round running back? Are we sure about this? Are we sure? He's like, oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be amazing there. Has he even played in the playoffs?
This last game he did.
Okay, he's just not a needle mover. They should have taken another offensive lineman, cornerback, edge rusher, blah, 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 blah. That's just where the value is there. But, that's sorry, I had to get a dig in there.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
No. Get out of here, Paul. Go ahead, girl.
All right, I'll take this one. Kevin G, thank you for the super chat. Love the picture. That is such a beautiful ring. Why is everyone dissing Mac Jones? They say he only won because he had a great supporting cast. Well, so do the Broncos. Would you pick him up? I'll start this one. There's a limited ceiling. That's the main issue with him. I think that he has starter quality abilities. He's got a decent arm. He's smart. He throws with good timing. Honestly, I think he is a pretty good fit with the Shermer system and what he likes to do on some things. Now, his ability to throw outside the hashes, his ability to throw outside the hashes would be something I would question, just because of that arm strength not being exactly what you want. I know a lot of people. You and I talked about this a little bit. There's some people going, "Oh, did you see that 50-yard bomb he threw?" See, he doesn't have an arm issue. Arm issue doesn't have to do with how far you can throw it. Arm issues have to do with, can you fit it into a tight window when things are really closing down? It's like Brett Rippon. Honestly, he probably ran the Shermer system better than any of the other quarterbacks this year for the Broncos, because when everything is working well around him and he can throw on time, he knows the system well. But you saw in that Jets game, he didn't have the arm to always get it to the spot in time. And it's the same thing with Mac Jones. You question that a little bit of what he can do. Doesn't have the greatest athleticism. I mean, he's got the dad bod. And
that was from not the national championship game. That was like a previous one.
Okay. But it's still, he's not going to be the most athletic guy in this draft by any means. He has some movement skills. He showed a little bit of ability when under pressure, but you also didn't have to see a whole lot of tight window throws because he did have guys running wide open in their wide open system. He had probably the best running back in the game, probably the best offensive line in the game. So, I mean, yes, talent does matter around him, but it's not the end-all be-all of why he's not going to be successful in the NFL. I just, at pick 9, I would be so upset. End of round 1, I still wouldn't be happy about it just because, again, he has a limited ceiling.
Yeah.
But I can understand it a little bit more at that point.
I think it's an important conversation when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks and players in general in the draft, where they are versus where they're going. You know, that's what it's about. You're not drafting a guy for what they're going to be their rookie season. You're drafting them for what they're going to develop into over their rookie contract. And I just don't know where Mac Jones is going. I mean, it's the argument of, this is a good one coming back, I guess. Not to the extent of Josh Rosen versus Josh Allen, but Baker Mayfield versus Josh Allen. That's probably the one to think of, right? Like Baker Mayfield, there's going to be conversations here coming up pretty soon where Baker Mayfield's been good for them. A lot of people are hyped because there's still a personality here. The commercials are funny. I give him that. But is he the guy who is being the point guard for the offense? You know, or is he the guy who is the offense? And that's drafting Baker Mayfield. You kind of know where he's at, what he's going to be. But are you drafting them for that? Or are you drafting them for that development curve for what Josh Allen is now, which is the offense? You know, like he's the one who makes everything run. So that's obviously
right,
an interesting one. And this Baker Mayfield contract situation is going to be very interesting to watch because it does not sound to me, from what I'm picking up, like NFL people think that Baker Mayfield is worth this $40 million a year contract. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are going to get that. Baker Mayfield, I mean, I don't know. We got John coming again. We got to keep it rolling here. I know that we're already at an hour and 10. Mac Jones, for me, it comes down to the simplest thing. I don't think he's a good enough athlete to survive in today's NFL. You need it. The game's changed enough where at quarterback position, I don't want a point guard anymore. I want a scorer. I want a playmaker. I don't want somebody who can make the quick pass and give it to his teammates. You still have to be able to do that, but I need somebody who can get to the paint. I need somebody who can and one. I need somebody who can play some on-ball defense on the other side of the field. And that's not Mac Jones. You know, you're too limited by the offensive line every single year when your quarterback's that limited athletically. Yep. Right? Like it's the Matt Ryans of the world. Like, oh, he's great when the offensive line is great and the scheme's good, but can he create? No. So here we are. John coming in again. John, what are you doing here, John? Gosh. Elijah Molden is a sleeper CB. Small, but he's nasty. You know, your lips to God's ears. I think Elijah Molden's very good. Is he limited to nickel, and does that limit his value? You know, that's a question to have there. I do think, though, that that's less of an issue in the Fangio scheme. And if he's there round 4 because teams devalued him because, you know, whatever reason, I'm in. Round 3, what is it, 71 overall? I don't know. You know, that's maybe a little early for me.
Yeah.
I think he should go in the top 100, though.
Yeah. All right, we got David Kilgore again. I'll go ahead and get that one up there. Do you like Hubert out of K-State? So I'll take this one because it's my Kansas people.
Okay. I have some interesting information on him.
Okay. Not the biggest fan. Yeah, T-Rex arms. I got John in the background going like this. He's not wrong. 30-inch arms for an edge rusher, not good. Guys are going to get a hold of him in the NFL. He's not going to be able to let go very well. He's not going to be able to control two gaps if you need him to do that. There's limitations to his game. Now, he was a playmaker for K-State. He's an overachiever. He's got a high motor. And, you know, if we're talking 5th round and beyond, I don't have as much problem with taking him because, like I said, he's a high motor guy. He's a good locker room guy. I don't see the type of player that's really going to move the needle for your team one bit.
I think the 30-inch arms might be enough where he's completely off my board.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't bring any special teams value, maybe a UDFA type. But, Carl, since the NFL Combine has been around since 1982, there have been 4 players on the defensive line who have measured with 30-inch arms. So we're talking like there's 20 defensive linemen a year. There have been 4 of them. Only one of them has been drafted, and he was like on the team for a year and then out of the league. It's being able to strike guys with leverage and create space with arm length matters. I mean, if he overcomes it, then God bless him, because that would be incredible. And I don't want to cheer against him, right? But like it's just one of those things where it's like his arm length is so short that like it's going to make it almost impossible for him to win matchups in the NFL. So, it stinks. He's got some flashes, but that arm length is just, it's too much, or not enough, I guess, but it's too little. So go ahead, Bon. I know we're running long, but Buana said that he didn't matter. He didn't care.
Right. My bad.
Carl.
Oh,
make us
this one's me. All right. There we go. John Houston coming in again. Man, you've been rock star tonight. That is for sure. Thank you so much.
Say Hudson. You got to let us know. You've been coming in enough. I need to pronounce your gosh darn name right.
Yes. Houston, we have a problem. Looking at Paton's history, we probably going to trade down. There's a good chance of it. I think he's
willing to trade up.
Yeah, it does. But I do think he is one of those that is going to be pretty aggressive in trying to find a trade partner. Elway seemed a little bit more hesitant on a lot of those things. I mean, we saw last year. I don't think the Broncos didn't make a single trade last year in the draft.
Not a lot of teams did, but the Broncos didn't. It's just a weird one. So we got Brian coming in. No question. Maybe a super sticker or something. Nope. Buana's tossing his hands up. Well, Brian, if you have a question, send it to Buana or get us on Twitter. But we really do appreciate you, Brian. I've definitely seen you. You're here often, and we really appreciate the support. We recognize the repeated names around here. So Buana giving me the 1 second. He's saying, "Okay, stall, Nick. There once was a man from Nantucket." No, I'm just kidding. Buana. Okay, here we got one. We got. What do you think, Carl? Trade Drew Lock's girlfriend. Are you in? I mean, I don't know. Would that matter? I thought actually when I clicked this, I thought it said trade Drew Lock to San Francisco, and I said, if the Broncos were out, I would be maybe that'd be an interesting one. But now I see that it says girlfriend instead of SF. So Broncos fan 13 again proving me that I cannot read. Buana, are you ready for me, or do you need me to pick another random one here?
Oh, there we go. Oh. Maybe, hopefully he's not talking about Najee Harris again. Great pod friends. Do you see Summit getting drafted? Ooh.
Well, we weighed him yesterday. He's 9 months old, so he's still really young. He's still growing into his frame. He's 65 pounds, so he's a big boy. He's got some length, which he's not Huber out there with probably doesn't have 30-inch arms, but still, he's a golden retriever. You don't have to have 30-inch arms playing the golden retriever position. He's a pretty good boy, and we're just gonna have to do more work. I don't know if you saw the video where I tossed him a banana and he caught it, and a little bit of double clutching going on there, which is not ideal. You got to be a little bit more patient. See the food into your mouth. Don't be overeager.
Is it the movie Air Bud? Is that a golden retriever?
Yes,
I remember. Yep. So that's our hope that Summit could develop into Air Bud.
Sport athlete.
Yeah. Oh man.
We got Brian coming in again. Brian, thank you very much. They said Elway throws too hard. Drew Brees was too short. Marino was athletic enough, but did it matter? Seems more times than not, most even experts are wrong about the quarterbacks. I mean, are they though? You're talking about outliers there, right? Like how many quarterbacks have been drafted drafted late because they weren't going to be the guy? And Elway was the first overall pick. Drew Brees was the second pick. Marino was the first pick. There's always going to be critiques. There's no such thing as a perfect prospect. Trevor Lawrence, there's questions about him, right? And we're just going to see how it plays out. I still think that you see trends in the NFL of what's working and what's not working. Now, back in the early 2000s, pocket passers were all the rave. Guys that have high intelligence, get the ball to their playmakers, let them go make a play. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, all those guys just doing some great things. Now you're starting to see the athletic quarterback take over because offensive line is just falling so far behind. They don't have the reps in practice.
they have a huge difference in athleticism from the guy that's across from them. If you are athletic, you're going to play defensive line. You're not going to play offensive line. So if you're a 300-pound guy that can run a 4.7 40, yeah, you're going to be a defensive lineman. And so that difference, you need a guy that can make plays off script, that can get out of the pocket, that can even run for a first down here and there. You don't need a Lamar Jackson, but I mean, you see with Patrick Mahomes, teams struggle where you want to try to play man coverage, but if you turn your back to Patrick Mahomes, he's going to take off for 20 yards.
It's the ability to extend plays outside of structure, because it's just too hard to matriculate the football down the field these days. You need to be able to create explosive pass plays, and that means from time to time when things break down, they have to be able to break the pocket, create, and then throw the ball vertically, and that's using their athleticism to get to that point. And also, if something's bad and you can pick up 5 to 10 yards with the quarterback, God bless. That's incredible. Do that every time. So that's something Drew Lock has done that I think is pretty good as well. I mean, big difference for Drew Lock and other quarterbacks the Broncos have had is the athleticism there. So we got Victor coming in. Do we go for Rodgers if he is available? If Rodgers is available, yes, you go for him. That's yes.
Half the league does.
Of course, even though he's 37 and he does seem to be a little bit of a drama queen. Very nihilistic though, so sometimes that speaks to me. Does it matter? No, but that's he's not available, folks. He was just speaking in the moment after that game where he was frustrated, and the Packers have pretty much said, "Yeah, we're really excited for what Aaron Rodgers is going to do here for the next 3-4 years."
Right.
So
the Rams called on him, and Packers hung up the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not going anywhere. But everybody would.
Can we talk real quick, real back point? I think Brian Greenfield was talking about the league changing. You want to talk about the death of the pocket passer? The Rams just gave up an extra value of a pick to get rid of their pocket pure passer that can't create. Do we need a better case example of what that means? And somebody will be like, oh, Matt Stafford's a pocket quarterback. You go watch Matt Stafford highlights from this year. That dude's breaking the pocket and throwing off different arm angles with weird feet and fitting in windows that Jared Goff wouldn't even dream about. Jared Goff might not even be able to do that on PlayStation. It's that kind of thing. So you don't have to be a great athlete at quarterback to be a playmaker. You just got to be quick and be able to manipulate your body. It's just it's a different thing.
Matthew Stafford had the second highest quarterback rating of any quarterback when throwing under pressure. Only guy that was better was Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And neither of them are the greatest athlete in the world. But like I said, their ability to at least make a guy miss, to move in the pocket, to be creative with their arm angles, all those kind of things. That's why we keep harping on this, that you still need somebody that can go do something out of the realm of the play. And that's part of why we struggle with Drew Lock and his future. He was dead last in the NFL when under pressure. He had a quarterback rating of 26. So we're not even talking like, oh, all these guys are all bunched together. We're talking Matthew Stafford at like 91 quarterback rating, Drew Lock 26.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some Drew Lock conversations going forward. It's going to be a long off season in that regard, probably a lot of quarterback conversation, and we'll pick it to death. We'll leave no meat on the bone there, folks. John coming in again. Last one. Oh, John, don't say that to us. Walker Little was a first OT sleeper.
He was
Walker Little.
I think he was hyped up by some draft media, partly for where he went to school.
He was the number one recruit at tackle the year he came out.
That's true. But he hasn't played that way. He's a little bit smaller than you like for a tackle for sure. I think he's going to measure in a lot smaller than what you like. Somebody just said he's going to be moved into guard.
He might be too tall for guard.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's 6'7". I do question the length, which matters a lot for the tackle position. He's a little soft. Also, that said, this kid has got really, really, really good athleticism. I'm not saying I would swing on him, but tackle is such you either have the athleticism and the prototype frame to do it or you don't a lot of times. And somebody's going to swing on Walker Little probably in the third round, because otherwise you're probably not getting a tackle prospect. He shouldn't play year one. He hasn't played in like 2 years because he got injured the year before. And this year, I believe, opted out. But he's a freak athlete. I think he was one of the highest spark scored tackles in like recruiting history, like really up there. So somebody's going to take a shot.
Yeah.
And whether or not that works out remains to be seen. I'm a little bit more okay taking that shot, I guess. If the mentality is there, just given the success of raw athlete Garrett Bowles, raw athlete Colton Miller, we were all roasting the Raiders taking Colton Miller because they wanted Mike McGlinchey. Newsflash, I think Colton Miller has actually been better than Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey's freaking trash at pass blocking. I mean, just, Olay as the speed rusher goes around him every single time. It's just yikes. But, Walker Little, third round, if he's there and the Broncos took him, I think that's a smart play. It's a lottery ticket, but you're betting on Munchak and the tools.
Okay.
But not a OT1.
I think so, we all caught up?
All right, guys. Well, we really do appreciate you so much. We'll definitely have a chance to talk a lot of other things here going forward. And everybody, whether you pray or not, say some magic words to not send Deshaun Watson to the Raiders, because I really don't want to have a full-on breakdown on the podcast. Unless you guys would put some super chats for me to do that. Then we can talk. No, I'm just kidding. But just, whatever you can do there. Thank you. That's going to do it today for Building the Broncos podcast. You guys are great. Oh, we got one more coming in here. I'm on the script. And here we are. Okay, go ahead, Carl.
All right, Victor coming in with another super chat to get us here last second. Do you think it's Locke's fault why Jerry Jeudy didn't have a great year? Because look at what Justin Jefferson is doing in Minnesota. I think this is, you can't just put all the blame on one. I think Jerry Jeudy didn't help himself with the drops. He had plenty of plays that he could have made throughout the season that would have got him probably close to 1,000 yards for the season. But at the same time, Locke didn't always do a great job of setting Jeudy up for success. I think you shared a chart on Twitter not too long ago that there is they figured out ways to show on-target passes and like expected yards after catch. And Jerry Jeudy was so far off the chart. Like it was like all these other names are all bunched together. Jerry Jeudy. Clear down at the bottom. If you can't see my hand, I know but imagine it's dropped down because Drew Lock just was not accurate. He really was the least accurate starting quarterback in the NFL this season. I don't think there's really any getting around that. And he's got to do a better job throwing on time, in rhythm, to a right spot, because that's Jerry Jeudy's game.
Yeah.
You're not taking advantage of a guy that's a top 15 pick if you're not playing to his skill set. He plays to Cortland Sutton's skill set, but not Jerry Jeudy's. And so that's something he has got to absolutely work on. His footwork was bad. That led to a lot of bad throws. So I think it is a mix. Jeudy didn't help himself. Locke didn't help him either.
I'd probably go 30% Jerry Jeudy, 60% quarterback play, not just Drew Lock, quarterback play in general, because we did have some Rip and Driscoll going on there.
Yep.
And then probably just 10% noise as well, just statistical noise. But thank you for the question there. We really do appreciate it. We do got to get out of here, though, guys. That's going to do it for Building the Broncos today. You guys can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler, MHH. Also find myself on Twitter at Nick Kendell, MHH. Going to be a lot of tweets there going forward. Whether... just come at me, just add us. We are very open to talk on there. We are very approachable, I would say. That's our Midwestern values. We're not better than any of you guys. We're just one of the dudes or girls, whatever floats your boat. Also, guys, make sure you head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all of our written content, as well as the MHH community content. A lot of comments going on there, whether they be at the bottom of each article or just in general, the board, a lot of conversation going on there. Go to iTunes, guys, and leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. If you do so, I did not check before today's show, but I will check probably before the next one. If you guys do that and give us a shout out, we will read it on air. We'll put it up on the screen, and I'll do my best to read it as Buwana scrolls up and down as fast as he can so I can't find out where I'm at. Like, subscribe, and share if you guys are joining us on YouTube. Click those thumbs up if you're on Facebook. That can help us a heck of a lot. I see that we're up at 45 now. That's pretty good. Last week we were at 30. I'm like, get us to Terrell Davis. Now we're at Alexander Johnson. Be cool if it went to Von Miller right now, but I'm not going to be too upset if it stays at 45. But doing any of that, especially liking, subscribing, and sharing on YouTube, helps us a heck of a lot. Helps the Huddle Up podcast, Zach and Chad. It helps the Dove Valley Deep Divers with Eric and Lance. It helps myself and Luke with the Mile High Insiders. Every single show, we're all underneath the same canopy there. So if you help one of us, you help all of us. We appreciate that. Follow our accounts on Twitter, or the content accounts on Twitter, at Mile High Huddle and at BTB Football Pod. Carl, you got any plans the rest of the night? And guys, I know we've been getting some calls here for the longer shows. Here we are, 124 minutes.
There you
God
go.
bless. It's draft season. Also, we got the blessing from Buana Beast saying, you know what, guys, I'll take care of it. The People's Chant. The People's Chant, Buana Beast. Give him a follow on Twitter as well, at John K MHH. That's JONKAY MHH. And I always tease him like I'm going to put him in here, and then he'll take himself off the screen as quick as he can. So I'm not going to do it this time. But what do you got the rest of the night, Carl?
I just got to get a few projects done. I haven't been in my office all day and won't be in my office all day tomorrow. So this is my one chance to get anything done. Family's already asleep, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be that boring business guy. Go to work.
Well, what can we do? And we got Mark coming in here. Mark Schrader, good to see you. Also, we got Jan Fitz, first time in the chat. Jan, you're here late, but we still appreciate you. So obviously, you guys are what makes this great. We wouldn't be doing this without you. You guys all stay safe, be positive, test negative, go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.